Please raise your hand, then you can hear me. Welcome to Huntington Park Community Day School. We serve more than 10,000 students per year. I'm Clive de Cordova, the director for this school. And to my left, Mr. Chavez, the AP, working as usual. Tonight, we are here in the cafeteria for Bell High School. And tonight, we're going to have a very interesting night, and you're going to be learning a lot as well as I will. So it is a pleasure to welcome you and to open this forum. And as I said, you will learn a lot. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce the person responsible for this event, Ana Maria. Let me see. Ana Maria Quintana, Councilwoman. Let's welcome her. Can you hear me now? Perfect. Good evening. It's such a pleasure to be here. I love to see so many people, and it's a wonderful opportunity to coexist with each other and to learn about what is happening in this city. Let me introduce those who are representing other officers. Juan de la Cruz, representing the Los Angeles Unified School District. Our mayor, Ali Saleh. Vice Mayor, Donny Harper. Our rep from the Assemblyman, Iván Carrillo. This forum is going to be in Spanish, so those of you who don't speak Spanish, get a headset so you can listen to the interpretation into English.
That's right, I have to translate that in English, right? For the most part, the town hall meeting will be given in Spanish, so for those who don't speak Spanish, make sure that you have one of the headsets so that you can participate fully in the presentation. Got it? Everyone has one? Great.
So let's begin with this forum with Matt Hill, who is the person in charge of the strategy for the budget. So he's the big shot, so he is going to help us out with this budget. So we have this program. Matt Hill, his duties and obligations is in charge of the budget. He was working as administrator in the superintendent's office, and in this capacity, he had a lot of initiatives for the district. He worked for Oakland Unified School District, and before that, as a manager for Expect Success, which is a program with 43 million budget for educational reforms. He has a BA in Business Administration from the University of North of Carolina, and also in Public Administration from UCLA. Also, he serves in the board for Children's Hospital in San Francisco. He's married with 2 kids, and he's going to give us a presentation. He's going to give us an analysis for the budget at the district level to see how much money we have and how much money we are going to be working with. Let's give him a welcome.
Is it working? Yes, thank you. Well, good evening. So I apologize, I'm not fluent in Spanish, so I'm not going to attempt to try to speak in Spanish for something so severe and so challenging for all of us. So I do apologize. But before we begin, Superintendent Daisy sends his regards. He's actually in Washington, D.C. right now. He is advocating for more funding for all of our students in Los Angeles Unified School District. As many of you know, we are facing one of the most tragic budgets that we've ever seen. And it hasn't been 1 year, it's been multiple years. So my goal today is to provide an update of where we are with the budget, provide data and facts, so that we can all advocate on behalf of all students, pre-K through adult in Los Angeles Unified School District. So one thing before we begin, I want to talk about the timeline on the budget. So where we are with the budget right now, we still have time. So June is when we adopt the final budget. Where we are is for the Los Angeles County of Education, we must provide an update on our budget. And so by March 13th, we give a second interim update to our budget. So it's the second snapshot of this year. We get to see what things look like from the state level as well as at the school district. From that, notices go out to our teachers and our certificated employees on March 15th. But then we have plenty of time to continue to do advocacy. And right now, it looks like some of our advocacy is being successful. So we need to continue to do that, and I'll provide more details in a minute. But we also have, which is the May revise, and that's when the state of California, the governor, comes out with the next budget. That's around May 15th. And then we'll give an update in June on our last update on their district budget before a final one is adopted in June. So the clear thing is we want to have conversations now and throughout the spring so that we can come up with better solutions than what our students are facing right now. So I'll walk you through a couple of those slides right now. Many of us know this, but as a parent and as a public servant, this is shocking when we really look at the numbers. If you look at where we are in a nation in California, we're at the bottom. You look at student to teacher ratios, you look at counselor to student ratios, you look at administrators, we're at in the absolute bottom. So this is not just an LAUSD problem, this is for every single school district in the state of California. This is the woeful underinvestment in public education in California. And we want to continue to provide this information because as parents, as community members, and as educators, we just keep taking the burden upon ourselves. We've been doing more with less for far too long, and this has to stop. So when we talk about state-level initiatives and local initiatives, it's not cutting, it's that we needed more revenue for our students in California. A lot of people have asked, why can't you just take care of this yourselves? Cut the fat out of the district. Get rid of administration. Get rid of the Beaudry downtown headquarters. Well, if you look at what we've done over the last 5 years, that's exactly what we've been doing. We've hit a funding cliff where we've already have lost 8,000 employees over the last 4 years. The budget that we've talked about cutting is $2.3 billion. We have been cutting, and we have been causing great harm to our students. And this is why we say enough's enough, and we need to rally together. But if you go back to 8-9, when we thought that this crisis was just starting, we were able to use one-time funds, freeze supply accounts, non-labor, non-personnel accounts. So we were able to get through that initial budget. 9-10 was one of the biggest challenges we faced, but today is even worse, as you will know and you are experiencing. But we had to lay off 2,900 employees. We raised class sizes that year. So our elementary schools used to have 20-to-1, they went to 24-to-1. High schools went up. We lost principals. We lost assistant principals. And so one thing also happened that year, and when we talk about adult education tonight, it's when they started making the funding for adult education flexible. This is when they collapsed it into the district's budget, cut it by 20%, and no longer gave us funding for how many adults or students we served. So the state of California pretty much said if you serve one adult education student or 300,000, as we do, because we have the best adult education program in the country, it doesn't matter. You get the same amount of money. That year alone, so people say, well, why are you targeting adult education? The district could have kept class sizes at 20 to 1 in elementary, 20 students per one teacher in elementary, and cut adult education. We didn't. We spread that across pre-K through adult, because we realized that in LUSD, all of our students are valuable. And so I want to give that data point. It's not that this year is a target adult education, it's that this deficit keeps building and building, and we're no longer getting additional revenue for adult education students. We were, I wouldn't say lucky, but had some assistance in 9, 10, 10, 11. So as the federal government gave us stimulus funding, or you've heard of jobs bill. So we were able to reduce some of the cuts those couple of years. But if you look at the deficits keep coming and building on each other the last couple of years. So as I mentioned, we hear about, well, continue to cut the district, cut the administration, leave the money at the school sites, and that's exactly what we've been trying to do. So if you look at, we used to have lots of leased spaces. We were paying rent, and we have all of these schools and buildings, so we've been getting out of those leases. And you can see the equivalent of 9 football fields of amount of space that we've been able to get out of. Also the central office budget. It is now only 5% of the entire district budget. 95% of the money goes out to schools now, because we've been cutting central office over 46% in the last 5 years. And local district offices that help support our schools, we've had to reduce that down to 5. 4 regional education service centers, and then 1 for the superintendent's office to support our innovation schools. So what's very challenging, and you hear this when you look into the state, they said, don't worry about it, we're funding education the best we can. Well, that would be true if we got this line up here. So that's what the state owes us. It's called Prop 98. So every year the state passes the budget and says, this is what goes to education. But then they apply an accounting maneuver that says, this is the deficit factor, and we'll pay you back at some point in time. If we actually received $6,700 per student, we would not have a problem, and we would not be having this conversation today. However, what they're going to pay us next year is $5,200. They owe us that other amount. We'll get it someday. The last time they said they owed us something, it was around 11% deficit factor. We're at 21%. It took 6 years the last time that happened. So at that rate, it's going to take 12 years. So maybe my 4-year-old, when he finishes high school, they're paid back that amount of money. That's why, and it's not just Sacramento being mean, as a state, that is how far behind we are in paying for our students' education. What makes it even worse, you hear about governor's initiative, which we're supportive of, because that will give us this $5,200. If it fails in November, it drops us down to $4,888, or even worse. So when you put it into context, money's owed to us. We can't pay for teacher salaries today without that money. We can't run our programs, we can't support each other. So that's how severe it is at the state level. So there's money that we get in our budget, and there's also the cash that we have to pay the bills. So this slide really talks about, besides saying, I owe you budget, I also owe you cash. It's a way for the state to make interest off of the cash that's owed to school districts across the state, up and down the state. And they can earn the interest, and they can help with the state deficit. It means each school district has to borrow and get that money, which costs us more money. The dollars should go directly to the classroom, but now we're paying for interest. So it's just another factor we wanted to highlight, that there's budget that's owed to us, and then there's cash that's owed to us as well. So it's making it very challenging for districts. If you read in the papers, more and more you see districts that are on the brink of not being able to pay their bills. So I touched on this briefly, but as far as what the governor's initiative does, one thing that it proposed in January was to cut transportation. So no buses for our magnet schools, no buses for our special needs students. Dr. Daisy said that that was not acceptable. So he sued the state back in December and says, you need to provide us that funding. Later in January, they said, okay, we'll have every district have to take the same cut because the students that need transportation are mostly in cities like Los Angeles. So they spread that cut across the state. But they said, we're going to cut you next year. So Dr. Daisy and the rest of us said, well, we're still going to sue you. So we've been advocating, and that is one change that we are seeing signs of progress. And that's one thing I want to highlight where we're going to need your support. When the state talks about taking transportation away from school districts, what it means in Los Angeles is if you're in a wheelchair, you can't get to school. If you want to go to a magnet school, you can't get to school. If you're in a gang zone and you need safe transportation, you don't have that. We need to continue to be unified and saying that transportation is a civil right for all of our students. That's $79 million to us that will come back. And we're starting to see signs that our advocacy work, our calling the governor, is working, and we need your help to continue that. Another thing that you see of the governor's solution, it's terrible if it doesn't pass. It doesn't help us if it does. So we're stuck. We support it because if we don't support it, we'll have that drop on that last slide I showed you. But we want to support it, but we're going to need other solutions. And that's where we've been coming and talking to the communities like this one. The next question we get a lot is, you have billions of dollars. Where does it all go? What are you spending it on? Well, if you take everything that's required by state ed code, by our contract, by only having 5% of the dollars in central office, which no other district in California has less than that, and you build it up, you spend $2.3 billion of the $2.7 billion. That means when you build it up and the state minimum, raise your hand if you think that's a good minimum. Just a guess. Anybody? No. State minimum says you have kindergarten class sizes of 30 students. State minimum says you have high school class sizes of 42 to 45. You have counselor ratios of over 1,500. Adult education is not in the state minimum. Early education is not protected in state minimum. Providing safety to schools, police officers, security guards on campus, it's not required by state law. So when you just have a principal, an office manager, some supplies, a custodian, teachers, that really brings you up to 2.3. And I'm happy to come back another time if people are interested and really show you the details of the budget. But at a high level, that means we have roughly $350 million to buy everything else. And so as a district, with the school board and the superintendent, we've been going through is what can we afford? So if you take that state minimum, and then you add on the police officers that I mentioned, you add on people to clean these buildings, to maintain these buildings, you make sure we're protecting. We could raise class sizes in high schools, but if you've been through the high schools here, we've already raised them too high. And so the school board and the superintendent at this point, the superintendent recommends not raising class sizes in our high schools, not reducing the amount of administrators to make sure our students are safe and secure, and then making sure that we're required to pay out, if we have a teacher that's sick, to have a substitute in there. Priorities 2 and 3, you will not find a single person in this district does not think those services are valuable. So when you look at the deficit we're facing right now, it's $557 million. There's not a single item on that list, I can guarantee you, that the board or the superintendent or any of us want to cut. If you look at that list, it's nurses, it's librarians, it's early education, it's adult education. Elementary class sizes would go up to 30. That's to hit that $557 million. And I can go on and on. Counselors. That's how devastating the cuts are right now. So if you look at the state level, you can see the challenges we're facing at state. When you really get home to look at LUSD, it's hitting everything, pre-K through adult education. So it's not like the superintendent's recommending taking one program and cutting it to build something else up. We're looking at across-the-board cuts. So I apologize, this slide is very challenging to read, so I'll highlight it. I think it's probably hard for a lot of people to see what I'm saying anyways. So we have one-pagers that I'll hand out at the end that summarizes everything. We'll also have it on our website. So where we are, again, with the timeline, is we're going to continue to pursue 3 options. And this is where we need help. Option 1 is the worst-case scenario that nobody wants to support, and it doesn't help any of our students at any age in our school district and our communities. That's this option 3 over here. That is an all-cuts budget. It's something we can't survive and something we have to do something against. Option 2 is if we can do a combination. So I talked about one is transportation. Whenever we hear cutting transportation, that has a direct impact on the LUSD, and that's $79 million. Another thing that's come out from the governor is how they want to allocate funding for schools. It's called weighted student funding. Initially, we thought it would hurt us, Los Angeles, because of our concentration of students that are English learners and our students of poverty. We've been advocating and say that you cannot hit school districts inequitably like LUSD. Right now, we're getting signs that they said they won't do that. That's $25 million. So you combine those two, it's about $104 million that will bring down that deficit. Other things that we're focused on is for our special education students, students with disabilities, students with needs. That is currently not in the governor's proposal, and we need help to advocate for those students as well. If we have some success on that, that will help bring down the deficit. Internally, we've put a hiring freeze on, except for essential school-based positions, we're not hiring. We're also put a freeze on supplies and other expenditures. So we're trying to bring together as much dollars that we can save this year to move over into next year. And then there's the state initiatives. So there's multiple state initiatives, and I'll walk through those. All of you need to read about those and get smart. We can give you a link to the information. We have some representatives here that should be able to direct you to that information as well. And then also the school board is going to be considering a local parcel tax. Now I know that's extremely challenging to ask anybody during these difficult times. But when we look at the overall district budget, that's going to be up to each individual. And we're looking at something around $25 per month per homeowner. Now I'm not advocating for it or against it. I'm just going to advocate that everyone gets really smart about it, understands our current budget and what we can do about it. That's really small. I'm sorry. It looks like our budget. So there's multiple state initiatives right now. Number 1 is the governor's. That will bring about $7 billion to education. However, what he's going to do is, when I said, remember the cash? I said, they're not giving us cash. He'll rip up those IOUs and finally give us cash, but doesn't give us more budget. We need that because it makes a very, very deep hole in the state's budget if this doesn't pass. So the governor's initiative has to happen. I call it the trifecta. We need the governor's initiative, we need another state initiative, and we need a parcel tax, or we need some concessions And we're looking, what we've done in the past couple of years is all of us in the district have been taking salary cuts or unpaid furlough days. And we're continuing those conversations to see how much we can do that. If the governor's initiative fails, it's the equivalent of 3 weeks of school being shut down. That's when you take $7 billion and convert that, that's how deep it is. Now there's other initiatives. So there's one by Molly Munger, supports education in pre-K as well. That's something that we would find helpful as well. So we want the governor and that one to pass. We know it's a lot on all of us as taxpayers on what we'd have to pay. And there's another tax, though, from our statewide union that's focused, they call it the millionaire tax, on focusing on supporting millionaires. That's spread between safety and others, so it's not in nursing. So it's not just for education. So if that passed just itself, it'd still create a big hole for education. But it's another initiative that you should get smart about. And then you see the last couple two are around an oil tax, which they're good, but they're smaller for education. So even if the governor's initiative passed again, this is why we're proposing that parcel tax of $298. And these are some of the things that we're talking about, that maintaining smaller class size, supporting some of our adult education program, early education, nurses, etc. And why I say we need a trifecta is, if we have the governor's initiative and a parcel tax, we still are facing a deficit between 250 and 350. So I know we're working on plans to support adult education, but we've been talking as a team, even if we get those two things, we still are going to look at a reduced program. Early education, we still are going to look at a reduced early education program. It's much better than where we are today of an elimination, but this is something that we're going to have to continue to work together, and what's the best way to recraft our programs to serve as many students as we can. Or we hit the trifecta. So again, things that you guys can help us is contact your legislator. Find out what are these state initiatives? How can I help? How can I get more information? They're going to happen in November. We need to get smart about the district's budget, and I appreciate being invited to a forum like this so we can ask the hard questions and give people the same information. And we need to continue the dialogue. If things don't make sense about the district's budget, so you can talk to your state representative, as well as board members, as well as superintendent staff. Attendance is a key thing. Every day our employees and our students are in school means that we have more money. So when our students are in school more, they learn more, and we get more money for next year. When our adults are not absent, we don't have substitute cost. So that's something that we're focusing on. The attendance is critical, especially during these times. And then last, if there's specific programs, we have set up a nonprofit that can support specific programs. So if you know people that want to donate to that, they can contact the Los Angeles Fund. So I want to thank you for the time and hand it off.
And now I'm going to introduce to you Isabel Vasquez. She's the principal from the technical school for LAUSD. Good evening. $350,000. 3,045, 10%, 90%, 1,300, 2 billion, 15.5 billion, 75%, 34%. What does that mean? What are actually those such numbers mean, as far as the percentages, 350,000 are the students from the Department of Education for the adult education that we serve on a yearly basis. Students that are coming to our schools to learn English as a second language, students that are coming to our schools to learn what they need to know to pass a citizenship test and be able to participate in this country and municipal level, and that is extremely important in order to have the basic, real basic system and fair for the services of public education. 350 students, among some of them are young people, young ladies who were pregnant.
Pregnant teens and who cannot continue with a regular school, and they come to adult education schools to have a second opportunity to complete their studies and to offer their own kids a future, a stable future. Individuals who are learning, who are unemployed, who are learning a new career, or maybe getting a certification to get a better job. Parents, mothers who attend our schools to learn how to help their kids at school, and many other programs that we offer. Our program for adult education, we have had it since 1987 in Los Angeles, a program with more than 100 years in this country. In this country, public education has had two maybe contradictory functions, one of inclusion and another one of marginalizing. So when we are talking about inclusion, especially for those who lack the economical benefits, it has been important to include the entire family. And this is the reason why adult education program is so important and its contribution is so important. And this is the reason why we are here. And we thank Mr. Hill and you to have this dialogue, which is so important. What is happening in the state of California with public education in general and in this district in particular, and with the adult education programs which most of you who are here participate in. 3,422 are the students who in the year 2010-11 completed the requirements to receive their GED. 10%. It is the reduction that we have in the numbers for dropouts who, thanks to this program, they are able to graduate from high school. 90% of the students, adult students who can complete their technical or vocational career and get a job, go into the army or they go into advanced studies, a successful program undoubtedly. 1,300, the number of local residents in Los Angeles who, after participating with other labor groups, have been able to get hired to build the schools we are building in the district because they have been trained in order to perform that kind of duties and obligations through our programs. 2 million. Those are the hours that parents have invested in helping their own kids in the school activities after these parents have taken classes in our programs for adult education. 15.5 million. We're talking about million of dollars that adult education generates for the district due to the effort from teachers, dedicated teachers, and the educational benefits and achievement when students improve their English level and they go from one level to the other, when they get their GED, when they go from elementary to middle school, the feds provide funds because of its efficacy. Our program is so successful that we generate 15.5 million additional dollars for our programs thanks to the effort and dedication from teachers. 75%. 75% of the students, adult students, that participate in our programs, they come from low-income families, such as the students. They live in poverty. They are working families with two or three jobs, able to hardly pay for the rent, or they have other limitations, sometimes limited English or just basic education. And finally, 34%. 34% is the reduction in the budget for adult education that we have faced since the year 2009-10. We have provided to you a pamphlet in English, but with very few texts and a lot of photos, where you can see the information for our programs. I would like to begin in the back, and it says that our programs, we have been educating generations since 1887, excuse me. On the left, you will see that in 1960, we were already offering English classes. And as you can see, these are women with their own kids. And we have the CBET program in which parents today, they have the same opportunity. On the left, you can see another program, a graduation for nurse assistants for Belmont in 1944. On the right, you can see a graduation of nurses from the same programs last year. On the left column, you can see a teacher who became the superintendent for adult education, providing English classes in a adult education. And on the right, you can see the same students with computers. And finally, on the left column, you can see one of our centers, which is called Freeman Occupational Center in 1934. And on the right, this is a school that we are going to inaugurate here in Bell, in the city, Bell, in August of 2012. We are building the school. Is next to the freeway 710, between the exit for Atlantic and Florence, and we are working on it as we speak. So this is just an indicate and to reiterate the historical importance of these adult education programs. I am Isabel Vasquez, the councilwoman. She told me, I don't want your biography. I'll introduce myself. I am an educator. I've been working and I've been in this district since 1968, second grade, and as an employee, 30 years working for this district. I had the luck to be working to service you as an educator, as a teacher, elementary teacher, and for the last 11 years in this adult education program, which is so valuable to you and to our community and the future of our kids. It is such a shame, and I do agree with Mr. Hill, that the state of California, being one of the richest and strongest economies in the world, I believe it's number 6, it's not sponsoring and offering the funds and the grants necessary to offer a quality education, public quality education for all the students and citizens. It is such a shame, and I do agree that these budget cuts that we have suffered 4 years facing the same situation, and it's such a shame. But I do believe, and I am convinced, I have the faith that the solution to these issues, it's just with you guys, working together, working with those who are dedicated and devoted to public education from pre-K to adult education. Because only you, the councilwoman Ana Maria Quintana, product of the school district, who have the vision to work together to be unified to seek solutions. It's so wonderful that we are having this forum, an opportunity to ask questions and to initiate a constructive dialogue in unity with those who are being impacted, namely you. We have been told since December that one of the ways to try to resolve this budget crisis, a systematic crisis, within a system which is not sponsoring education, the intention to eliminate the adult education program because the crisis is so acute and severe. It is different to reduce a program than to wipe it out. And it would be such a shame to eliminate the program because it would be so difficult to begin again. So we would love to continue with the dialogue. We are willing to work in unity along with you, so to have cuts if it is necessary, but proportional to the cuts which are taking place in other programs and at the webinar of the program. Also, it is important for you to know, parents and those who are taking your kids to school and who need that education and that skills, not only for you, but for your kids to express your voice, to give your input. When we get on an airplane, what happens and what instructions are you provided once you are in the aircraft? You are told that in case of an emergency, we should apply the oxygen mask to those parents with little ones, and that go against our instinct as parents. I am a mother. My kids came to this district. Our instinct as parents is to protect our kids first and to provide the oxygen mask to them. But the instruction, the indication is to apply it to us first because we are the ones who can best advocate, defend, and protect the well being of our students and our kids. And that applies perfectly to this situation. The more prepared we are as parents, as adults, we are going to be better prepared to advocate and to defend the interest of our kids within the educational public system and within the social system in general. So it is true. It is not mandatory. The state of California provided the funds for adult education in a category which is flexible, in which local districts at the local level have the option or prerogative, if it is necessary, to utilize the funds to balance the budget from 1st to 12th. I do get it. We understand. But there is a moral obligation, a moral commitment to serve parents and to offer those services, especially in those communities such as the Southeast, in which we have a huge need and great interest to learn English, to improve the schooling and their preparation and skills, and to be successful for the benefit of our kids. Therefore, those are my remarks. If you have any other questions, we know that the decision was postponed, the final decision in regard to what is going to happen and the suggestions in regard to the special education department. They are working on plans, initiatives, options. It has been put on the table to have a reduced program to support high school students, but also we want to have the certainty that in the dialogue and the negotiation also to include funds allocated for adults, parents, and not to eliminate that possibility. Also, that adult education programs and the schools within the district, which is the entire school district, that there is a huge amount of individuals like you interested in continuing with the programs. And as parents, I am certain that you are willing to exercise your voice, your vote, in order to improve the situation in the short term and also long term. Thank you very much. A lot of information, right? The person in representation of community colleges, he or she is not able to be here, but I would like to share some information with you. One of the information that is being recommended is that when adult education is over, is to go to a community college. And what I have realized with the communication from community college, that option is not available and is due to this information that I'm going to be sharing with you. Last year, community college, they had to reject 300,000 students that they couldn't enroll them. Just imagine, 325,000. And last year, community colleges could not enroll 300 students. So we are getting the close lamb on our face. It is important to know this. And it is important for everyone who would like to have a better education, access to a better education. And it is affecting the Latino community in particular because 75% of Latino students initiate their education in community colleges. So we don't have any other options after high school. Community college, 75%. If we are going to have severe cuts, we are going to have no options. And let me put this in context. This year, there was an increment. The prices was $26. They went to 36, and for the summer, $46 per unit. So anyone who would like to learn English instead of attending the the adult education programs, which are free, if you need to take the class at a community college, it's going to cost you $230. So we're talking about a lot of money. This is $230 tuition, fees, plus the textbooks, and the availability of spaces for the class and gas. So these are, you have to add it up, and this impedes the access to public education. So the purpose for this forum.
The purpose of this forum is to educate ourselves. Not everything is lost, just like Mr. Hill mentioned and Isabel Vasquez mentioned. LAUSD has to finalize the budget on July 26th. You have a piece of paper, right? We're going to go over it really quickly because that's the main information that we have to see. This forum is mainly to obtain information. We're together, we're going to find out what are the key dates because suddenly a lot of people might have an impression that the addition has been made. We're going to cut the budgets. This is done. This can be changed, but actually, in order to the board, LAUSD board changed their mind and really value what this program means to the community and for the district. We have to mobilize ourselves, educate ourselves, and let them know that this is extremely important for us, okay? The first date, March the 8th. March 8th, the board at LAUSD will receive and give a summary and make a final decision about the notices of employees that are going to be laid off. We're talking about in 2 days, LAUSD has to get together and analyze. They're going to have cuts, more people laid off, etc. For instance, if this program is reduced, people who are providing the classes for as adult instructors are no longer going to have a job next year. March 13th, the board at LAUSD will receive the second proposal on the final budget for 2012-2013. They will receive information on the budget 2011-2012. Therefore, Mr. McHill will give a summary to the board and say this money was spent. This is the money that is left. What are we going to do? Are we going to use it for this year? Are we going to use it for next year, etc., and so on? This dialogue has to happen. The decision cannot be from one day to the next. It's a process. So it is important to have the dates because mostly this is when people protest and they do everything, people have the right. The main idea, though, is to remember these dates, to know what is it that they're deciding on, and to maybe we have a chance to make them change their opinion. Do you understand? March 15th. Again, they're going to lay off notices will be sent by mail. Many teachers, hopefully not that many, will not receive this notice, meaning that they're going to lose their job because by law they have to send these notices. May 15th, the government, Brown, will actually finalize the budget at the state. It's important, like what Mr. McHill said, it comes from the top. So sometimes we look at the district and say that they're cutting without realizing that the final decision actually is even higher. It comes from up higher. The reason as to why I think it's important for the LAUSD to be here, we have to work together with the LAUSD. If they're not getting money, they're not going to give us money. We're fighting with them actually because they're cutting the programs when actually they don't have the resource, so maybe we're going to the wrong person. So that dialogue and that conversation has to happen with the district, so the district can, on the other, go to the state and demand, and so they can make education a priority for the community. June 1st. Again, the board at LAUSD will receive the third proposal from the final budget for 2012, 2013, and the information will receive for the budget 2012, 2013. Again, I repeat myself. The expenses are being made every day. But the board needs to know how much money they have for this year. Do they have a deficit or they have extra funds? What are they going to be utilized or allocated for? All this information needs to be public information. Key date, June 26th. The board at LAUSD will adopt the final budget for the school year. Again, I repeat it again. This is the beginning. This is our first meeting. We know the key dates, the meetings that are more important. We know what we need to do. We need to call our representatives and let them know that for us, this is a priority. And not just these programs. It's not just about keeping the adult education for the community, but all the programs. Many people are complaining also, and they have bring it to our actually information that is all the programs at LAUSD that actually happen. This is going to happen in those states. They're going to talk about all the programs. So it is important for people that are concerned about any other program. Are there any questions right now? There's a lot of information. I know that. Now, what I want to do, I'm going to introduce to you people that have actually benefited. They've been really receive a lot from adult education.
If you cut $135.9 million and you have $160 million in discretionary spending, why not go there first? Why is it always that the budget is always put on the backs of the people who do the work, who do the training, who do the cleaning? We seem to have to take this all the time. And like she said, we've taken 34% budget cut in the last few years. But you say, okay, we show you where we're taking it from the top. No, it's always come from the bottom up. And we want to know, why is it that we've looked at all these numbers, and you guys can explain numbers, but you don't look at the faces that those numbers mean. Everybody in this room has something to do with adult education or their children in school, and they've made themselves viable citizens, taxpayers, and voters. But yet and still you want to take and wipe adult education completely off the map. You didn't say cut some. You said $135.9 million what it cost. Take out $135.9 million. Then take out early education. And not think about what it's going to cost. Because you think about what the unemployment rate in Southern California is right now. You take 330,000 students and put them on the street, plus the other 4,000 or 5,000 people who serve them. What happens to unemployment then?
Entonces, con el desempleo. I'm going to try to brief. You said a lot, but basically, the question mainly is, why is it that the district has made a decision to cut again a program that is beneficial to the community? And you said, as an example, the schools that are being built, and to your point of view, that are in excess. So they're still building school, they're still having those contracts, but the cuts are affecting what? The programs that actually are affecting the people that are in greatest need. Any other question? ¿Quiere contestar?
So I would like to clarify just on the new schools. That is a separate pot of money. So we have bond dollars in the district that you cannot use for teachers, you cannot use for custodians, you cannot use for, so as in the taxpayer language, those new schools that we've been building is dedicated for that. So we can't replace that. On the other items, it's not that adult ed is being cut alone. As you mentioned, early education completely eliminated. The arts, elementary arts program. Like I said, there's not a single cut here that the board or the superintendent want to make. So it's something we have to work together on. How do we get more revenue back to our schools?
Okay, just for the sake, let's just continue with the presentation, then we can ask questions at the end, because I still have 3 more speakers. Okay? it doesn't have to be. We'll work towards that.
Vamos a tener que continuar. I'm going to introduce to you some people who actually have gone through the adult education programs. It is important to know, hear these people and see, so they can help us understand. Jimmy Torres, who graduated from the adult school. Is he here?
Hello, my name is Jimmy Torres. I am 18 years old. I graduated last year from Huntington Park, Bell Alternative Education and Work Center. To begin, I'd like to say thank you, everybody, for coming out. I'm a student at Cerritos Community College, and I'd like to say that without this program, I would have been able to get to where I am now. I wasn't that great of a student during high school. I mean, I was always just barely making it, and I always struggled as far as my behavior was concerned. Eventually, this caught up to me, and I was released from the school halfway through my senior year of high school. I mean, by this time, nobody really could accept me. I mean, I couldn't go to another high school and, continue there, and it was incredibly difficult. Not only that, but I found out that my girlfriend also was pregnant, and I was gonna be a daddy. So I felt out of luck, but I found HB AWAC. And I was there every morning through the AWAC program, and I was there at night as well through the regular adult program. This is a great opportunity, and not just for people who are behind on credits and stuff, and like students of me who had the chance and failed, but it's also an opportunity for those who never had it. And I wanted one day to be able to be a public servant. I mean, to serve all of you guys, because it makes me happy to know that there's a community who takes advantage, and not just their government, but a good education system, a system that was not necessarily guaranteed, but it was really sought out for as something that our American society needs, to create this opportunity for not just regular American citizens, but those who want to become citizens. Is a great opportunity. And I also like to say that without this, I wouldn't have been able to get my high school diploma, I wouldn't have been able to attend college, and I wouldn't be able to, with me being in college, I was able to also get a job. Having a job lets me support my girlfriend and lets me support my child, and I also could get to continue my education, which I want to see my daughter, see her dad as an example of education at work. So when she grows up, her idea of fun is reading books, is doing math, and I just want everybody to have that opportunity. Thank you again. Thank you for your time, and have a good night.
Now we'll introduce you Narciso from the high school here. Hi, good evening. My name is Nancy Soto. I'm in the 12th grade.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Nancy Soto, and I am a senior attending Bell High School. Well, I am here to defend adult school because it is really important, and I have written down what I want to say. So by law, every child is expected to attend school from kindergarten to 12th grade. As a minor, having to attend school for 13 years of our life, the majority of high school students want to and expect to graduate from high school. However, there is A through G courses one as a student must complete because it is required by the district. Every student's high school experience differentiates from other students due to their style of life and personality. Every program schedule is composed to serve the students' necessities to give them the opportunity to graduate from high school. Therefore, the adult school program is essential for students' fulfillment of their education and preparation. For instance, in my junior year of high school, my schedule was full with AP classes and other required classes programmed by my counselor. I was in the right path to success, accomplished to take classes beyond the requirements. but unable to complete the computer class because my program was always full, put my high school graduation in jeopardy. My counselor gave me the option to take the computer class in adult school. I realize now that if it would have not been for adult school, it would have been a lot more complicated and stressful for me to complete the computer class. Many other AP students whom are so dear to me found themselves in a similar situation as mine. I along with other fellow students, appreciate the opportunities given to us in the adult school program. Not only does adult school allow us to complete A through G courses, but it also allows students to make up classes students did not pass. For example, Stephanie Righthip, a senior student, said, "I was able to make up classes I had failed in my previous years of high school, which gave me the opportunity to be accepted by Cal State universities." We can see from this that a great variety of students depend on the adult school program. From the nerdiest to the most athletic students on campus, one can find all types of students with different motives whom attend adult school. Those of us who have attended adult school are willing to sacrifice a couple of hours after school because we care about our education, and our goal as a high school student is to graduate. Doesn't the district realize that by taking away the adult school program from our high schools, students will be deprived from a great opportunity to succeed in school and graduate, which will cause a negative impact in their futures? Thank you.
René Moreno next. He's gone. René Moreno. Is René Moreno around? I think this is time for a break. Let's continue. Sergeant Lopez from LAUSD, the police school. Good evening, everyone. I don't want to sound bad. I am a lieutenant, so I'm not a sergeant anymore. As you know, I'm here to express my support to adult education, which, as an immigrant, like many of you, I arrived being an adult. I didn't know how to speak English, and I took advantage of this program, which you cannot measure the value and the contribution of it. Firstly, I took the ESL classes in order to be able to communicate. Later on, I came back and I took many classes at the GED, and I got my GED. And later on, I came back again and I became a citizen of this country. So I have taken advantage of the multiple opportunities of this program, which is so valuable. When I came to this country, I was told, go to work to a factory, and that is the American dream. Why not? Well, a lot of us work very hard, but also there are better jobs, better opportunities that without this kind of programs we wouldn't be able to take advantage of. So by having a GED, later on working in factories as a dishwasher, working in restaurants, I applied to become a police, and thanks to the fact that I was a citizen, I was able to become a police because it is one of the requirements. And not being able to communicate in English, even with my accent, I would have not been able to become a police. So I owe so much personally to this program. And by achieving all this and giving back to the community with the service that I try to provide, and I do it with the best of the intentions, because I'm so concerned about the kids.
Años después también
Years
me
later,
permitió
I was able
atender la universidad,
to go to college, the
conseguir mi
university,
licenciatura de
and
la
get
Universidad
my
de Cal State Long
bachelor's
Beach,
from Cal State Long Beach,
Vocational Studies,
vocational studies.
profesionales,
That was my
y después
major.
conseguí
And
mi
later on,
maestría
I got my
en
master's
servicios de emergencia,
in
servicios de
emergency
emergencia.
services.
Todavía más,
And even more so,
todo eso me
all
permitió
this allowed me
recibir
to
mis credenciales de maestro.
receive my teacher credentials.
Tengo dos o tres,
I
incluyendo
have two
ESL.
or three, even ESL.
Y
And
para contribuir a
in
la
order to
comunidad,
contribute,
me
give back
interesó
to the
mucho dar
community,
clases y
I was
estoy
interested
dando
in
clases.
imparting classes, which I've been
Empecé
doing
en
for
Jefferson,
5 years,
los últimos 2
beginning
años he
in
estado dando
Jefferson
clases
and last 2
aquí en
years
Huntington Park.
here in Huntington Park.
Todos estos programas me hicieron un ciudadano productivo.
These programs made me a
So, a
productive
través de mi
citizen.
trabajo,
Through my
también he
work,
contribuido porque
also I have
tengo muchos años
contributed
pagando taxes, he
because
estado pagando taxes.
for many years I've been
Que
paying taxes,
ayudan a más
which
personas.
will help
So, ese
others.
es el fruto
So that is
y el
the
éxito de
fruit
programas
and the result
como estos
of
de la
programs
escuela de
such as this one,
que
adult
nos
education,
beneficiamos personalmente
that we
al
get the
principio
personal
y
benefit
luego
at the
regresamos
beginning and then we're
contribuimos
able
a
to
la
give back
comunidad
to the
y
community
somos productivos.
and we are productive.
So, no
So
quiero tomar mucho tiempo,
I don't want
pero
to take a lot of your time,
es muy
but
importante este
it is so
programa y espero
important,
que no
this
lo vayan a
program,
eliminar
and I hope that
y
it will not
continúe
get
toda la
eliminated
vida.
and that continue forever.
Eso es todo.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. It's one of the teachers here in Bell. It is, this is a model, this is an instance that we have opportunities in this country. But in order for these opportunities to have access to them, we need to work on it and give back to the community services for us, and we have rights. This is not free. Let's benefit from it and let's work together and take advantage of these opportunities. We are not asking for charity, just simply the opportunity to show progress. Questions? If you want to, you can step forward. This is a Q&A period. Any questions, any remarks?
Why don't they sell Beaudry? If there's only 5% of central office left in Beaudry, why isn't that building been sold? Last time I was there, it was empty.
So on the slide that I mentioned about the lease space equivalent to 9 football fields, we've been able to move those offices in there. So when we have all of our schools built and there's space out in this out at school, so we don't have to lease rent, we could do that. No, we definitely are looking into that. We try to put a school there, but it's not compliant to put a school in there. We're looking at opportunities to use that space or lease that space.
Good evening. I have a question, and I don't want to be the party pooper. What is happening with Miramontes? Can anyone answer the question in case that the district is accountable to pay for the lawsuits to the victims? Where is the money going to be coming from to cover those lawsuits from Miramontes, and whether that is going to impact schools and programs? And the district is going to need money. Where is the money going to be coming from? Or the district has an insurance to pay for the lawsuits?
Unfortunately, since that's pending litigation, I can't speak to that, but we do have insurance for litigation, and we do have money set aside for any kind of litigation. So.
Voy a hacer una pregunta.
Right now, the Los Angeles Unified School District is building a building which is around local district 5. They have 11 centers where they offer classes, different classes, but there was not a single one in the southeast. I would like to know what are the plans about that building, because if you go to that area, the building is half built. So with the cutbacks, we are going to have funds to finish that building, number one. And secondly, if the program is wiped out, the community would like to know whether the building is going to be utilized for adult education, that building in particular. Isabel or as a person in charge for technical and vocational careers, along with the staff, Judy de la Torre and Capino, we have met on a weekly basis to establish the logistics to open a new school. We have continued with the process, with the construction of the school continues. The contract has been approved and the workers are building the school. We have the electrician program. If you have not had the opportunity to visit the site twice per week, we have students who are learning how to work with high voltage cables. They are actually working on it there at the site. We have the intent to inaugurate the school in August 2012, and on our behalf, we're going to continue with the plan unless we are told otherwise. It is important to know because the building is half built and is going to provide this facility to offer other classes. So we need to get in touch with our reps and tell them that they have to continue. Isabel says that she has been told otherwise, but in any case, let's continue exerting some pressure so the building gets finished. Any other questions? Thank you. Good evening. My question is very simple. In which way students, adult education students, ESL students can contribute with the school district? What can we do? What should we do? What do you need us to do? Very good question.
So, three things again that everyone can help with. One, we need to make sure at the state level that we're advocating for funds for Los Angeles. So I mentioned transportation, I mentioned students with special needs, our English learners. We need that. Two, get really smart about the state initiatives. If you don't vote, get somebody to vote. If you don't want to vote yes, find somebody that will. Three is get smart about what's happening at the district. Don't just believe me. Don't believe anybody that comes here. Find out about our budget. Ask us questions. It's an open book. We'll share it with you so you can see that these are difficult trade-offs. And how do we build this? And then we can come up with solutions. As we get money back, we can build this. And again, we have until June. And then beyond that, it's not over. We're going to continue to rebuild for the community. As Isabella said, this is since 1878, 1887. We cannot let this go down. We're in a down part, but we got to come back up.
Isabel, do you want to expand on that, please? Translate in Spanish.
It is very important for you to express your opinion, give your input in this kind of forums, get informed, participate with your input. The Los Angeles Unified School District has a board with 7 members who are elected by the population. You belong to those population. You belong to District 5. There is a rep from the board member, Mr. Kaiser. You can get in touch with them and to provide your input in this regard, and also tell them we are willing to do whatever it takes in order to retain and to maintain important programs. Tell us how we can help you out. So this forum is of the utmost importance because I'm not certain, but this is the first time that I, as a district employee, see so much information in detail about the budget, and I'm happy to see it in another language, in the language that we use the most in the school district after English. So, number one, be informed, be aware, express your opinion, give your input, and dedicate and commit to resolve the issue, short term, mid-term, and long term, to seek a way for funds which are dedicated to public education are the necessary ones for a country and state which belongs to the first world. It is important to do this, but the short term, there is a meeting next Tuesday in which they are going to be talking about it, and you need to be informed and participate with our input.
Thank you very much. I'd like to direct my question to the gentleman from GSM. We heard about the possibilities of continued budget cuts, but if the system is shut completely, what would be the cost of restarting the adult education program? After all, it does go back to 1887. And second, who would benefit, who would profit from the use of the facilities that were intended for adult education if the program is shut?
Okay, voy a traducir esta pregunta para que quede en vídeo. El señor caballero está preguntando.
The gentleman is asking what would be the cost if the adult education program is eliminated. What would be the cost to reinitiate, to start it back on? And secondly, if the program gets eliminated, what is going to happen with the facilities? Are they going to be empty? Are they going to rent them out? What is going to be the utilization for these facilities and these sites?
So currently there's the team of the adult education team as well as the principals of adult education coming up with different options of what would it look like different options. If we had additional funding coming back, what it would look like for adult education. They're going to be factoring in the cost. What are the programs that are easiest to keep going? Which ones would cost more to bring back? Because again, we have until June to decide those different options based on funding that we may have. Because one thing we are continuing to negotiate with all employees that we've done in the last 4 years of, can we take pay cuts so we can continue some programs? So that's one option we're looking at. As far as who would profit, these are public buildings. If we hit the worst case scenario for our schools, that would be something where students would attend that. We have looked at, but we haven't done in the past, we're leasing out buildings, but that hasn't been something discussed at this time.
They are asking me to translate because I didn't pay attention. Lately, we are working with the adult education department staff to develop several options in regard to the programs that we could maintain. And the last part, I didn't hear about the installations, the facilities, the buildings. Would you please repeat it? We haven't talked about who is going to benefit and what will be the utilization of the sites if the program were to be eliminated.
Question. I was looking at the fingertips review that it's annually publicized, and I was looking at the budget part that said 191 million miscellaneous. I want to know what that miscellaneous is. Can it be used towards the classrooms? Also, I was looking at another part that was about over 90 million, and one of the things it stated instructional consultants. Why do we need instructional consultants when we have teachers?
So the question was around items in the budget. One is 191 miscellaneous. I believe that is for outgoing expense. So in our budget, when we have, it's a line item that's for our buildings or a debt service. So those are items that we have to go. I can provide more detail, and we've had that question, so I'll put it on the website. But it can't be used for anything else. It's paying back our loans, paying back the bond program for buildings. The item also on services and expenditures around consultants. The instructional consultants, we have some funds that are dedicated for students of poverty, English learners, that goes directly out to schools. Each school can decide how to use that. So when you add those up, it's around $90 million. It's above and beyond the unrestricted general fund, which can be used for salaries and others. Some schools use it for paying a teacher to write curriculum, so they can do it that way. Others are using it to bring in an expert, maybe a retired teacher or others, or other firms. So it's for each of our 800 schools that are using that. So it's not essentially controlled expense. But we can provide more detail on that as well.
Perfecto, si gusta. Are there any other questions? We have the directors, the principals, very important people here, because like Isabel mentioned, we, up to an extent, we're making history. This is the first time we have a meeting in Spanish, and we have actually someone in such a rank that's talking about the budget. And this is the beginning. Our date, again, is June 16. So let's take advantage of that. My name is Guadalupe Melendez. I'm a student, ESL student, and I take English classes. First of all, I would like to thank Ms. Quintana. Thank you very much, Ms. Quintana. And I would like to thank the people that are here present, those people that are here to help us truly from the bottom of their heart to make sure that the schools will remain open. And those that are not helping us, who are not really convinced, please, feel your heart. We are the people. We are the people, the working class who are contributors. Even though you see us as small people, we also pay taxes. I worked for 30 years, nonstop. Unfortunately, now I'm unemployed, and I had to take ESL classes because when I go out on the street to get a job or look for a job, who do you think is actually competing against me? Young people who just finished high school, who speak perfect English. That is why I'm taking ESL classes so I can go out, find a job, and be able to compete with the young people who speak perfect English. They say that California is the marvelous, like Alice in the Wonderful in the wonderful state, but it wouldn't be a shame worldwide for California to close their schools, the adult education, due to the lack of funds. I think that it will be a great shame. I believe that in the district or maybe in the state of California, we should have people that are very capable and competent, administrators that are really smart and well-trained to know how to actually administer or use those funds. If not, let's look for other people then, because we're not here to blame anyone. We're here to find solutions. And all these people here present and many other people outside, we are people who need to learn English. We are people who need to learn the language in order to help our kids, to help our grandchildren with the homeworks. I believe that an educated community is a community that is successful. And we also vote, by the way. We also vote. So, and we're going to remember certain names when it comes to voting, for good or bad, for their benefit or not. What I want to thank you for those people that are supporting us. Thank you extremely, very much. And those who are not so sure about helping us, please touch your heart and put yourself in our shoes. We're the real people with needs, real needs. And we need actually your vote. We need your support. We need the desire from your heart. Like I said, we're not here to blame anyone. We're here to find a solution. I know that there are solutions, because when you want to do something, you can do it. I think California is not just any other little state, not important. California is California at the end. Good evening. Like the lady, I actually have not come to a school for many years. I participated many years back in my kids' school, and trust me, with what I'm looking at, it terrifies me. 45 students in a classroom, 1,500 students per counselor. Imagine, what type of students are we going to have in the future? Think about it. Right now we have a lot of people, a lot of Latinos in important jobs. Why? Because they're educated, because their education used to be good. I'm not saying that education is bad right now, but you, as LAUSD members, you have to do something like the lady said. Start working. And if you need something from us, we're here to support you. Again, like the lady, I went to school. I never actually finished my schooling because I had to work and work and work. Now that I don't work, and again, I can't find a job because the first thing they do when you go find a job, English. Again, I didn't go to school because I was working. Now I'm unemployed and I need the English. Thank God sometimes things need to happen in order for us to realize. I went to school, they invited me to this forum, and here I am. Like I said to all of you, if you need the help from us, ask for it. But we have to actually make a great effort because actually this is not the end. Anyone else? Is there anyone else? I'm going to say something. Good afternoon, good evening to all of you. Good evening. I think it's afternoon, but good evening. I apologize for what I'm going to say. Let's get ready because I was discriminated because I couldn't speak English from actually a job. I was working in the afternoon. They called me and they said, you don't have a job anymore. Why? Because they put someone else who speaks English. And for me, when I was there, they didn't ask me for the English. So now I really wish I could take classes to learn English. And the last thing that I'm going to say, if we, all of us that are here, without us, California is going to die if we don't learn English. There's a really important data in an assembly that we have. The Assemblyman Milata called me and he actually put a context and related to California. I said California does not compete with other states. It is the number 8 in the world. In the world, number 8. It occupies that number. The reason as to why we have so much unemployment in California is because we have actually hard labor jobs and we're competing with places like China. Before, they have manufacturing jobs, but now it's cheaper for them to take it to China so they can open their companies. The state of California is a great potential, and we have a state actually a huge, and if we don't have people that are educated, it will be really a sad thing worldwide. Good evening. Dear partners and classmates and presidents and everyone who's here. Right now, we are actually experiencing a really difficult and terrible situation. I've been here 20 years, and from the time I got here, I've been working really hard. I was sewing, I was taking care of children, but I thank God because this country is a country of opportunities. But I haven't had the opportunity because I'm here, I'm going to school, and I started from zero. Thank God we have a teacher, really good teacher, really efficient, who speaks in English and Spanish to us. And we need all of us to support, either from those that are bigger or the ones that are down at the bottom. We want the schools, don't close them, please, because like the lady said, LA is a great state, and California is the best, and the state of California is the best in the world, and we want you to help us, the people on the top. We have always actually admired people that are on top because they're educated, and I want one of my kids to be one of those, like you. I have a nephew here who he comes from El Salvador. He's not doing well. And why did he came here? Because in El Salvador, we don't have the science and we don't have what they have here. So I thank God and everyone here, everyone in the United States, because without United States, our countries wouldn't be like they are. And we wouldn't be here if we had a good country. I am asking all of you, all those people at the district, please give us a hand from the top because we need the support. We need those classes. I want to learn English. I'm working on it. And I work in a great company, but I can only say, hi, how are you? That's all I can say. But I hope to God that I can do better.
Buenas noches.
Good evening.
Realmente la educación
Actually,
debe ser vista como
the
una
education
inversión.
should be like an investment. You have to look at it as investment. We have actually budgets. What would happen if this program right now is closed? Our budget will be affected. For the state, maybe it's a point of business. It's a matter of business. Maybe they say we should pay for the classes that are being offered. It's a program that actually that we had for a long time, and truly it would be really a shame for students to have that closed. That's an important program. Education is extremely important and should be actually the main thing for our government. I believe that if the state of California, the government of the state actually supports the education, the state will continue ahead. The future of tomorrow is not only our kids. The future of tomorrow is us also. We're the strength, the active people, the force, the labor force that move the state. In order for the education, early education to be actually have its rewards, we need guidance. And I think that the pathway with this ESL classes is important so a parent can be able to explain a child, help them in their studies. In order to do that, that parent needs to speak English. I had experiences with some siblings, and I've been by working with some of my nephews about the process of the math. I've seen the actually lack of knowledge as far as the student. The student is having a hard time in the learning, just like the teacher as far as math. But if someone understands the math properly and the person guides the student, he actually will understand better. But if the parent does not have that ability or the skill to help the student in his studies, I think it's going to be really, it's going to be worse if we don't have this type of programs available for English. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Maria Ramirez. Before a parent question, in which way we parents, communities can help you out, the district, so you can help us out. The district says that you are not responsible because you get the money from the state. So you are sort of our reps and you need to advocate for us. As far as I understood, you want our support and to support the governor. And my question, I wonder, how can I support? Well, voting. I am a parent that I'm taking GED classes, English classes, and I wonder, if I don't take my GED classes and English, how can I become a citizen and how can I vote in order to support my governor to get the help? So that would be in the future that I hope that many of us who are here who need to become citizens and to vote. I am certain that the community and all of us, we want to vote and help so we can get that help. But if we don't have the education, the skills that we need, how can we do it? So we need to think for the future. And thanks for being here and for your support. Good evening. I write songs and I like to share a message of peace. English is the universal language I want to learn. I want your support. I'm not a soldier to go and kill someone. I want to convey a message of peace through English, and this is the reason why I want to learn this. So please support us. We need you for all of us, all the students. Thank you.
Buenas noches. This is so wonderful here. As we've seen, Historia of Adult School. This is not only in California, but from New York to California. My mother came here as an immigrant from Amania, no Inglés. Went to Hollywood High School Adult School, English. Huntington Park Bell Adult School, citizenship class. Later, an adult school program for her GED education. She met many, many parents going to adult school. Some of them had children in high school and middle school and elementary that maybe didn't like school. But when they saw Mama and Papa studying, it changed their minds and their hearts. This is very, very important that we keep adult school going. It is such a key. Generations of immigrants have used adult school as a no-cost way to get an education. We've heard everything from English to job skills, etc. It is very, very important. If we shut this off, we as the state and the school district are saying, we want your construction bonds, and you very graciously have voted 5 times to approve $20 billion to be borrowed for new schools, and all of us have it on our property taxes, whether you own or you rent. There's hundreds of dollars extra every year for 30 years to pay those bonds. It is even more important that we keep adult school, because if we do not, we as a society are saying, stop. We'll provide for your children, but if they don't make it, tough luck. We don't care where you are as an adult. You just stay right where you're at. No improvement allowed. That is immoral. It cannot happen. It goes against, as has been mentioned, the American way for generations. When you look at the front, we see the beautiful picture of people coming from everywhere here. My family came here for opportunity. Your family and you have. We must continue this fight on this. So please do not allow this to be cut. It is so important. So let us all join together on that to make sure that that happens. The people who are teaching and are handling this are doing a fine job. I still remember my mother talking about certain teachers she had that came back and other people she knew. And I'm sure you have similar experiences. You go home to your families, oh my gosh, we learned this, or we talked about this. So let's continue that fight. And again, thank you for coming. Let's continue the fight for this.
Hi, I'm Aya Saleh. I'm here representing the student of adult school meeting for the fact to stop the closing of adult school. Many adults around the nation have not finished their high school education. Some may have gotten close, some may not have gotten to finish. I, Aya Saleh, I have been in this country for the past 2 years. I'm about to cry. When I first started school, I was enrolled in the 11th grade, and I had 0 credits. With the help of the adult school and the help of the instructors, I was able to achieve my goal of earning the 18 classes I was behind. Now I'm here standing to stop the fact that they might close the adult school. However, without it, I wouldn't be here graduating this year. I would be in 10th grade. And that's it. Thank you.
What she said. I'm not gonna try to pronounce her name. 35% of the students at Bell High School, they graduate and they can get a diploma through the adult education classes. It is sad because we don't have enough classes. So eliminating this adult education program, we are eliminating the education for adults and also for students such as the young lady who was here, who are high school students. They don't have enough space or time, so they need to take classes at night in the adult education program. So, again, we have to pay close attention. One of the issues that Matt communicated is the kind of cuts which are going to be taking place, and let the district know that we want adult education program to be maintained intact totally, because the danger is that they are going to reduce it, and by doing so, and by law, students from 9 to 12 grade are going to be given preferential treatment. So the end result is the same. So in order to save the program, we need to maintain it the way it is and to start investing in adult education for the future. These microphones also work, so please don't have me working and running back and forth. Good evening. I am Marcos Gomez. That is my name. I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to address you. I don't recall the name. Mr. Hill, thanks for being transparent, clear, and to share the information with us. But as you said, I hope that these messages will be conveyed to those, because he said that he cannot answer in some instances the questions or to, because they cannot be taking funds from schools which are being built for this program. So as a person who administrates the budget, to work away so we don't eliminate these programs, because they are so important for the community. And I hope that what you hear, or sometimes because we are not as eloquent as we would like to be, or we don't have the ability to understand what we are trying to tell you, but someone who can do it, communicate it to you so you can take our message to the district and that they pay attention to this program, which is of the utmost importance. Good evening. My name is Maria Felix. I'm going to be impacted by the cuts because I work for you, and it is so sad that maybe tomorrow I'm not going to have a job because I'm going to be changed to another school in September. I was and a lot of parents studying English and getting their GED. I see frequently on a daily basis how we waste so much food. I'm not talking about the kids. I'm talking about in the cafeterias, in the kitchens. You need to see how the system is working. You provide training, orientation, but all those funds are wasted because as an employee, about 20% we do well, but the rest is not. I've seen so many things which is tiresome, and sometimes it is a shame to see how they are operating. Trash and trash, bags of trash. Why don't you begin there? Why don't you check the system? Why don't you analyze how the system is functioning and the waste that we have? Thank you. Please don't have me running back and forth. Good evening, thank you. My name is Rolando. I'm going to be addressing you in front of you, important people in the district. And I want you to remember what happened when the Chilean miners were buried underground. The government tried their best to rescue them from being underground. Now, it is your chance, your opportunity to rescue us from being underground in which they want to keep us, the opportunity that they want to deprive from us. It is true that when we are talking about finances, this is something very delicate in which we have a lot of waste, and that is the issue. California, we have heard, has a lot of money. It's rich. A lot of millions. It is the 8th economy, we just heard, and we are wasting so much. Why? Why? Something that is going to provide the skills, the preparation, the education to give us the English. Why are we being deprived? Why are we being deprived from this opportunity? That is the question. Please act on our behalf. Rescue us so we get to know your language, the language that your parents gave you, the language of those great ones who have governed this country and who never face a situation like this, even more so in this state. Please help us out. Use all these tools, use all the resources available to you. I know that they will listen to you. In a society, you have so much weight, your influence in the state, and that's what you need to utilize. Look for the tools, utilize the tools, the adequate tools. It doesn't matter where you need to get them from, but become within the history of the state of California, especially in Los Angeles, as wonderful defenders of education. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here to all my peers. The only thing that I would like to tell you, maybe I am mistaken, I apologize. This is the reason why I go to school. I believe that all of us need everyone. But just imagine teachers without students and the unemployment went down. You want not to provide the support so the unemployment goes up. Just imagine us without a job. Please help us out. You can do it because you represent us. And she said that she's not going to have a job. She might get unemployment. We can't. When you eliminate the programs, does your salary go down? You're going to have less work. I would like to know, is your salary go down when your obligations get reduced? No, but you don't live in our shoes. Because what we go, what we face is every day. Finally, one of the things that is very important, I would like to provide this information. Someone who organized this Ana Maria Quintana, this logo. This is going to be broadcasted. So those who were not here, they are watching it. If you want to watch it again, in order to analyze and see what happened, a lot of information was provided. Complex information, I have to be honest. A lot of figures, numbers. It's a lengthy, difficult process to understand, but take into account that the budget gets analyzed annually. So next year, this is March, next year we are going to be repeating the same process. So you need to understand the process now, so we can get to June the 26th, so we can convince the district to maintain the program. So this budget happens annually, so it is important to be involved to understand how it works. So next year we don't get any more surprises. So anamaria.com is being televised, and all the handouts, for those who didn't get them, you can download and get them. And there was an organization, Cesar Mats. So if you want to share your story, so we can share it with the Board of Education, he's going to be videotaping them, so we can present that to the district, the testimony and the opinion from the community members, especially from Bell. Thank you very much. Another comment?
Just a comment. We thank you for being here, the representatives. But truly, what I want to do, I want the people who need to be here to be here. I know they're working, and we hope, for our benefit that they're working. The representative of Dr. Daisy, we have the representative of Mr. Lara, the assemblyman, we have Mr. Daisy's representative again. So where are they? I've been trying for over a year, trying to get in touch with them directly, with either one of them or both of them. And I'm grateful to the people that are here, but we want to see them. Thank you. Like they said, if you don't go to the mountain, then you come to it. If they don't come to you, you come to them. We have the representative. Don't forget, we can all go to them. If they are here representing the district, but this is just the beginning. Like you said, this is not going to end until June 26th. So it is important to have a meeting like this. We're going to have more meetings like this one. If you see the information, look at the second budget, the third budget date. So we want the people to come directly here. We invited them. They were not able to attend, but we have the representatives. We have 3 months. We hope the next time they'll be here. Thank you very much, though, for being here, because this is information that's extremely valuable. I think that the community has the faith that we're going to have people coming over. So thank you very much for being here.